Now, they sold a lie. What is getting in, ladies and gentlemen, is this backyard support that is coming from the backyard of course, the Deputy President, Honorable Kindiki Kithure, where leaders from the Mount Kenya area, specifically from the Meru and the Embu region, are now gloves off talking about the Deputy President seat in 2027, and they are warning ODM that there is no conversation on the Deputy Presidency seat. Now, this is coming after Oburu Odinga had previously stated that he does not want the Deputy President seat, and shortly a few hours or few days ago, he also now changed his mind in Mombasa and said that the ODM party is going for the Deputy President seat. In this particular episode, we want to recap for you what is coming from the backyard of Mount Kenya, specifically Embu and Meru, where leaders have now come out publicly to say that the position of Kindiki Kithure is of course non-negotiable. If this is the first time you're interacting, of course, with our channels, ladies and gentlemen, we want to say thank you so much for being here, and thank you for our viewers. You have skyrocketed us to around 3,600. Yesterday we were just around 3,400. This morning we woke up to around 3,620 something. So it's possible that even within the week we can hit the 4,000 mark. So if you're joining our channel for the first time, please just hit the subscribe button so that you aid in our journey towards that 4,000 target. And also, if you do that, you'll also be timely getting this analysis on political stories as they occur. So let's go back to Embu and Meru. It started when Cecilia Mbarire talked about it, and Cecilia Mbarire is the national chairperson of the UDA party, and she said that it's okay. She appreciates very well that, of course, the ODM members might have joined broad-based. She also appreciates that they have secured certain positions in government. But amesema government ni bigi sana that the position of Kindiki Kithure should not be discussed. So let's just start with the statements that were made by Cecilia Mbarire before we delve into further statements.
Niliona juzi pale Mombasa ODM wakisema wameanza kuangalia kama wanaweza pata kiti ya Deputy President 2027. Mimi nataka kuambia tunashukuru kwamba tumeshikana kama broad based. Na tumeshukuru kwamba mmepatiwa viti tofauti na serikali kubwa, viti ni vingi. Lakini kiti ya Deputy President ni ya Kithure Kindiki. Ni ya Professor Kithure. Na kama mnataka kiti ingine hiyo ni sawa. Lakini hiyo tafadhali mjue hiyo haiwezi guzwa na mtu. Hiyo ni ya kijana yetu anaitwa Professor Kithure. Professor Kithure. Hebu tuone kwa mkono vile wale wamesema ni professor. Na hapo hatutoki, hatuendi mahali. Sisi ni watu wa Professor Kithure Kindiki na William Ruto. Na tunataka Kindiki aendelee 2027 na aendelee kuwa deputy wa Kenya yote. Na ni mtu tumeona anapenda wa Kenya wote.
Now, if the chairperson of the UDA party is speaking like that, then be rest assured that that is the position of the UDA party. They are not going to consolidate all this support for President William Ruto and let go the position of Kithure Kindiki. Now, of course, you are talking about the votes and how this is going to matter in the table. President William Ruto is aware of that, and he is perhaps even is in conversations of navigating that. But from the chairperson of the party, the national chairperson, Honorable Cecilia Mbarire, the position of Kithure Kindiki is non-negotiable come 2027. Now, these are coming just as a replies to the ODM party that seems that if they are also have talked about this thing, saying that if they are to stay within the arrangement with President William Ruto post 2027, then the seat they want is, of course, this very seat of the Deputy President. Now, also, Cecilia Mbarire was not in isolation when she was talking about this. Other leaders have also talked about this, including the member of parliament for Thika Township, Honorable Jane, who also repeated the statements of Cecilia, and this is what she had to say.
Kwa sababu lazima tuunganishe Kenya yote. Lakini kiti cha Deputy President, it is non-negotiable. Hata Mo hawezi kapata hiyo kiti. Wakisema atisiwa Kithure Abraham Kindiki, sisi Mount Kenya na sisi tutoke broad base. Na sisi tutoke broad base. Ule ambaye ameshikilia Mount Kenya kwa serikali ya Kenya kwanza. Pale juu tunapenda Rais William Samoei Ruto. Lakini namba 2 ni Kindiki. Na tunamuita Fayasi. Kwa hivyo anybody ambaye anamezea kiti cha deputy president mate hawezi pata hata hiyo kiti. Hiyo tunasema a no, and it is a big no. Kindiki is the deputy president of Kenya now and even in the future. Kwa wakati huu.
Now, this is the very MP that you remember Rigathi Gachagua was talking about the other day, saying made ultimatums to the UDA camp and specifically for the president, and said that if Wamatangi's businesses were not affected, then they were coming out of broad-based arrangement. Now, if you listen to the way she's speaking, you might perhaps agree with the statements of the truthful man, because even here she's giving ultimatums, and ultimatum is that if you remove Kithure Kindiki from the equation, then it's more. They are also walking out of the broad-based government. We saw what happened with Wamatangi's premises. They were destroyed real quick when she said this, allegedly, if she did. And now that she's talking about Kindiki's position, you'd be rest assured that Kindiki's position will be secured. Now, this is the feeling from the Mount region. The ladies are feeling that Kindiki Kithure's position needs to be maintained, and they're not doing this in isolation. The governor, who is the governor of Kithure Kindiki currently, and who is serving on his second term, that is the Tharaka Nithi County Governor, Honorable Mudhomi Njuki, has also made comments concerning this. And people say Mudhomi is eyeing the position of the senatorial seat post-2027, an exchange just like the Mandago scenario happened with the Uasin Gishu, and while at it, he's also trying to consolidate support for the deputy president, which means most likely he is going to go for the senatorial position still under the UDA ticket. And while speaking yesterday, he maintained that the position of Kithure Kindiki is not negotiable, to the extent that if the ODM leaders want the deputy position so bad, then the only thing that they are compromising to do is to include Kindiki in ODM to maintain the seat, and not to pull Kindiki out and replace his position with an ODM candidate.
Perturbed and concerned by the demands of ODM, that the basic irreducible minimum that they want from the broad-based government is a seat of the deputy president. Na sisi watu wa pande hii, we are saying that that is a seat that is not negotiable. Kabisa, it is not. As far as we are in broad-based government, as one government or broad-based government, the seat of the deputy president is not negotiable. It has to remain with Professor Kithure Kindiki. However, should the ODM really insist they have to stay in broad-based government, they don't want that seat, we are willing to make one very, very simple compromise. Because the president is UDA, we can let them Kithure Kindiki to be in ODM, and he can still remain as the deputy president of Kenya. That is the only compromise we can make. Because it is one government of broad-based government. We can give them Kithure Kindiki to be on that side, but wakiwa deputy president. If that is the problem, if they say they must have a deputy president who's ODM, we are ready to give them Kithure Kindiki because it's a broad-based government. Lakini kusema kwamba watupatie deputy president mwingine na Kindiki aondoke, hiyo ni ndoto. Hiyo ni kazi ya kutoa na kutoa, because it's a minus plus, it can never be a plus. Because mimi nikiangalia wale watu wana support Kithure Kindiki kutoka pande hii, alafu utoshanishe na wale ile ODM imebaki, kwa sababu kuna ile imebaki ikisema kwamba wao wanataka kuwa broad based, hata nikipiga hesabu tunaweza kuwa wengi kuliko wao. And I'm very serious about this. So wasitoe ile iko wakitaka kurembesha kwao, alafu tuanguka zote. Na hiyo mengi mbuge tumagerie no tiyo turi mathirikari ya twathurire no abo turi no ndu no tukwenda twithirwa tukiona gitu bono ndu no twathurire tutakaha eto mathirikari ya UDA. Thirikari ya UDA na deputy president wa UDA wa kuma koreko nani na amenya ona baba die nyamoita wa ODM ikambira kuina ina mwana takina ina ndio makora tunashiria ODM ndi mabururia lakini zaidi ndio mabururia no tuegoro maraugire katika angi tububageria mwankia ka deputy president ni magokenda ni kumakwenda muno kana mutagwira togo ndokona tuthirikari-ini na mara mageni maumerie mara yake ni maumerie mambara ino ni tuitwa tigirwe ku kana bera ni sisi tumebaki hapo tutigitwa uno ndo katika rwa gwetu tukugwa mwaki katugwa mlugutirira mara cha gotewa ni mukwa mutu wa mkalo kakaumiria magatwara gekuti ande mama kora bongo ni kora bongo kacha kumiria menya zaidi wa mtabojija kale kuna sana lakini ningena ne bantoni akalokeza kale kabila kwa lekeza kazo kana akonenio akambira oka kakaumiria magatwara kabo au bangene amwadi.
Another interesting politician speaking in his vernacular, which is something that we said, and I'll keep saying something that is really, really commendable. It shows that a leader is in connect with his people. I really always like when a leader does that. And so that section of the speech that Honorable Governor Muthomi Njuki is talking about is, of course, just a little bit into his dialect. He's talking about after Raila's death, of course, the ODM party seems to have disintegrated a bit. And this is the thing. The negotiating force of the ODM power has gone down, and it has gone down so drastically after this public division that they have shown in the political scene. When the section went away and say now they do not want to identify with this section of Sifuna, and they even went ahead to fire Sifuna in this ongoing court cases about who is really the Secretary General, you would confidently say that the bargaining power of the ODM party went down. And so whereas the party that is, or the side of the party that is remaining in the broad-based arrangement feel like wanalinda ground and they're trying to safeguard their ground ahead of some negotiating table in 2026 or 2027, the writing is clear on the wall. The negotiating table is going to be weakened towards the side of the ODM if they do not stand together. And right now, they do not stand together. So even if they are calling for the deputy presidency seat, the people who are sitting on the other end are taking a look at the table that is, or the people that is remaining on the table, and they are comparing it with the numbers that is backing Kindiki right now. And you've heard from the governor himself is saying probably a small county like Tharaka Nithi County and the people from the Mount Kenya that might be siding with Kindiki are substantive compared to the section of the ODM party that is still within the broad-based arrangement. So this shows you that the section of the ODM party that is in the broad-based arrangement do not have any negotiating force in this ODM thing, and that is where the deputy position is going. The leaders of the Mount Kenya area are saying no conversation on that. Oburu, say whatever you want, but when it comes to the position of Kithure Kindiki, the Mount Kenya leaders are now gathering support, a section of them, to defend Kindiki, even if this strong backyard, of course, is also still being infiltrated by Rigathi Gachagua. Now, that aside, Oburu himself has not been consistent with this request, and this is something that we detailed here very well at the People's Mirror in some of our episode previously, when we were saying that you cannot say that you're going to the negotiating table and you've already put your cards bare on the ground that of course you're not going to ask for the deputy presidency position. By that time, ukifika kwa hiyo negotiating table, kila mtu asha make up their mind, because wewe ukiongea huko nje you had overspoken and then you had said that you're not going to go for that particular position. So he's trying to reclaim his previous mistake in speech, this time saying that people might have heard him saying that he's not going for that position, but in Mombasa he said he wants it, he wants the power. Listen to this bit before we make more political statements.
Amue ati hii Taka kuimarisha chama chetu ya ODM iwe na nguvu. Tukikaa kwa meza kujadiliana, tunajadiliana na nguvu, na tunajadiliana tukiwa na numbers. Hiyo ndio msimamo wetu. Tutajadiliana tukiwa na numbers, tutaimarisha chama chetu mpaka tukae kwa meza tujue ni nini sisi tutapata mbeleni hapo tukiingia kwa mlango. Hii serikali tuliingia kwa dirisha kwa sababu hatukuipigia kura. Hii serikali hatukuipigia kura. Lakini sasa ile ya mbele sisi tutaipigia kura. Hatuwezi kuwa bila power. Ni lazima tupate power. Na hiyo kupata power mpaka wakosi watakuwa kwa meza. Wakosi hawawezi kosa kuwa kwa meza. Wakosi watakuwa kwa meza. Lakini kuna kitu kingine watu wengine wali-misinterpret. Walisema ati mimi nilisema ati sisi hatutaki kiti cha deputy president. Hiyo kiti ya deputy president ndio tunalenga sana. Hiyo ndio tunalenga. Ile kitu ambaye mimi nilisema ya kwamba huyo deputy president hatuna nini chuki na yeye kwa binafsi. Yeye binafsi hatuna maneno naye, lakini hiyo kiti ni kiti ya public. Election ikifanyika.
Yeah, so Oburu, while talking to around 30 people who are cheering his name, made those statements, and he was talking about the deputy position of Kithure Kindiki, now trying so much to convince the public that he had not said anything about Kithure Kindiki's position and Kithure Kindiki as an individual, but he has said now that's a public office and they are going for it. If this table is going to be this table is going to host this particular negotiation, we're just thinking that by the time that Oburu Odinga and his court will be arriving at that table, the only people who will be supporting their side of the ODM party is just the National Executive Committee. With the recent decision that they made concerning the Secretary General and the statements they're making after that, everyone taking a look at this particular ODM situation looks at it as a tumbocrat agreement, because how then can't you withstand criticism to the extent that as has been now analyzed and discussed by a lot of people, they have disregarded Raila's request post-death not to touch Sifuna. So the ODM that is remaining, the one that is holding on to the broad-based government, by the time they're getting to the negotiating table, other than the cabinet secretaries and the National Executive Committee, even if you take a look at their rallies, because you always see their rallies, or you take a look at these tent events that they host, you always see the tent events that they host. Inside there are no people. There are literally no people. And the people who are there seems to be reciting to a particular choreographed message that they were told to do before they came, before they were given the t-shirts and the capes. Now the other camp, when they hit the ground, you see the people not dressed, not attired in any manner, not choreographed, showing up in numbers to listen to them. Makes me thinking that if there is a negotiating table at all between President William Ruto and the ODM party, then President William Ruto's team, the UDA party, should start considering, of course, having those particular negotiations with the team of Babu Owino and Sifuna compared to the team that is in broad-based government. But politics has its own steps. We hope to see what comes out of this particular arrangement between the ODM party right now and the UDA party. As it happens, here the People's Mirror will keep unfolding it for you. We just want to say thank you for choosing it and for keeping it the People's Mirror for this episode. Stay here for more episodes within the day. Today also we want to detail for you an interesting story that happened at Agnes Kavindo's home that now saw together Honorable Oburu, Honorable Kalonzo and Honorable, of course, Rigathi Gachagua meeting together for I don't know. After Raila's death, we have never seen, I don't even know when Oburu and Rigathi Gachagua last met before this particular meeting at the burial of Moses Mudama, and the things that envisioned therein, the conversations that were said in whispers. Keep it here at the People's Mirror, your number one impartial political podcast.